Welcome back to Novatore's Lipstick Lunch series. Should you be joining us for the first time, let me shortly introduce Novatore. My co-founder, Dagny Aleina, and I, Wwiebe Rubessa, have launched an organization dedicated to women's economic empowerment and leadership by connecting, supporting, and driving the like-minded. For more details, I encourage you to dive into our website at www.novatore.eu. But first, some technicalities. Lipstick Lunch will be no longer than half an hour. Charlotte will speak for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you will have the opportunity to comment or question. These comments can be posted either in the chat function here on Zoom or on our Facebook page connected to this session. A recording of this Lipstick Lunch will be open to everyone on our Facebook page, novatore.eu, for you to listen to again or share. So without further ado, let me introduce today's speaker, Charlotte Wwiebe. Now, one of Novatore's initiatives is based on advocacy to enlighten ourselves and decision makers on issues that hinder or further women's economic empowerment. In that context, we're thrilled to introduce you to Charlotte Wwiebe, responsible for driving the world's leading tourism company's sustainable business transformation at the TUI Group by developing and implementing the TUI sustainability strategy. But that's not why we invited her to speak. Sweden has created a formidable executive leadership program for women called Rotterdam, or the Queen of Diamonds. And for several years, Charlotte was integral to its development. One of the best byproducts of this program is the creation of a special network of businesswomen in leadership positions in Sweden. Once Dagny and I realized its strength and potential, we asked Charlotte to share her insights into the importance of knowledge, why and how to build your network. Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. Pleasure, and it's great to meet you all, even if I don't see your faces now, but I hope you can see me and you can hear my voice. Some years ago, there was a study among 16 years students who should prepare for a test. One of the teams, they decided to gather X amount of people with different knowledge and skills and talked about who was the teacher who had done the test. And by that, try to understand what sort of questions should that be on that test. There was a really engaged debate among the team members. The other team was only one person. That person decided to prepare, to really study everything, to go through deeply into every side of the page that the teacher have told them to study, and that could be on the test. I am Charlotte Wwiebe, as you heard, and you could say I'm sort of a learning nerd. I do think that curiosity to learn is so extremely important in business, but of course also in private life. I'm trying to figure out and learn as much as possible and as early as possible, if I should be honest. And I'm always that, you know, the type that everyone says, but please don't come with something new now. We're trying to learn what you said last week. And I have a master in networking, an MBA, and for me, there is two different types of networks. And I mean, the one, perhaps the one we most talk about is the personal network, the private network we have. The other one is what I call a business network. A business network and a private network is built on relation. And this is really important to remember, because also a business network is based on relations. But there are different perspectives of the network. There are some really important questions when you work and build your network, is to start to go to yourself and say, why is this network important for me? Why how should I build my network? And there are different types of networks, I would like to say, and different participants in the network. And I will keep on talking about business networks, so we are all on the same page. You could decide that when you build your network, you need people who are bridges into other areas of competencies, who are the ones who could guide you to the next network, and by that give you the opportunity to gain new competencies and skills or connections. It could also be a network with people guiding you to new topics, that you're really trying to get connected to people that are forerunners in different areas, where you believe that from your business perspective, this is really important for you to understand where the development is going. It's also a golden opportunity to have the possibility to have a network who give you insights. And when I talk about insights and connected to business, I think it's really important to have this overall perspective. If you are, for example, like me, then responsible for driving the sustainable transformation, it's quite easy to come into this bubble of only sustainability, and your network are filled of people talking about sustainability. What I'm trying to do there is to bring more layers on my need of competencies, because of course I need a lot of competencies. It's going on a lot of things in the area of sustainability, but I have also secured that I get insights from, for example, behavior design, AI, etc., etc. So I don't create a small bubble network. That's really important. So if you decide to have a network that really secure that you bring insights into your own knowledge and your business, it's really important to secure that you also have members bringing that into you. So the decision to make is first, why do I need a network? How should I use my network in my business situation in connection to my area of responsibility? And if you go back then to responsibility, I mean, you could say I got a new responsibility like me, or I have a responsibility in HR where I came from, and I felt that my area of responsibility has to be connected to other parts of the business for me to be able to support the directors and the other people driving different business divisions. But it's also a possibility if you decide to, I would like to reach out to a new area. I would like to learn something new. I am preparing myself for taking next step in my career. That could also be a way of using your network to upskill yourself and to create new knowledge about people acting on this arena, and by that then become the bridge, as as I mentioned earlier. What is also important is to have a look on the network you have today and how you have built your network. Who is in your network today? Who are the closest to you? Who are the next level? And who does your closest network know on a bigger arena? And I think it's also important when we talk business, I don't talk private now, I talk business. You have to have a business perspective because you need to work with your network. You have to be active in your network. And when I say active, I mean that it's extremely important to also bring knowledge and skills, but also value into the network you are. So people feel that if they give you something, you will give something back. It's a sharing of knowledge and contacts and relations, but it's also extremely important that you all the time connect back to the person who shared. Thank that person. Be very open and transparent who shared the information and how much you appreciated that that person shared the knowledge, and you by that shared the knowledge to your business network, especially if you have a bridging person coming from another network into your network. Building a business network is a part of your work, I would like to say. You should look upon it as your work. I use quite a lot of time really study my network, really understand who is doing what, who is moving, who is driving change, and who is the one always asking the best question and make you reflect on perhaps your shoes and truth. So you need to invest time and effort into the network. You have to be curious about who are the persons in your network. And I also think it's important when you are in your network and you are building your network that you share your connections with people. If you get questions, for example, or if you see someone starting to have a conversation about something in your network, that you share connections and say, what about this person? I can connect you and you can keep on having your conversations and raise your questions to each other. So coming back to where I started, I think it's so easy, you know, to end up as the team 2. I should just prepare myself. I should just learn first. I should just know everything first before I stretch out my network. What the study showed, of course, was that the first team who had gathered people and start to have a conversation about what sort of questions this teacher will raise and why, was of course the ones who get the best results of the test. So I think that it's so important, and this is, I don't want to have this woman-man perspective, but often men invest so much more because they are skilled from the beginning to act as team number 1. They gather together, they are really concerned, and they really do know exactly who are the persons in their network and who do they need to bring in to be able to take the next step, to be able to create the next business, or to be able to secure that they understand the business arena they are on. So I will really engage you or energize you to create your network, because that is a part of your CV, you could say. The network is your possibility to have a fun work, to take next step, and to keep on learning. So if I stop there, and I would like to raise the question out to you, I hope I have some also, but why do you think your network, what is the purpose of your network? How would you like to use your business network?
Thank you, Charlotte. Let me invite everybody genuinely in the chat function on Zoom or on our Facebook page comments to respond to this question that Charlotte just posed. I genuinely thank you. Even I learned, an old horse learned new tricks into networking, listening to you. And I must say that your observation of men having a more inherent, I don't know what it is, but a way of managing networking is something that is globally relevant. And the Baltic countries, I would say, still have a fair way to go to be open enough to want to share and to actually constructively share, to to gain knowledge and further networks, actually. Now, after speaking of this importance of networking, and I love the picture of a contact as a bridge. I think that one is, the very many bridges one can build and then walk around the globe with the bridges within your networks. Would you share an example from your own life where a specific contact has been key to your professional growth? Where something changed due to, let's say, a change within the networking focus that you took?
Yeah, I have a quite funny example. When I was working for a hotel company, I mean, my business life has been in tourism and tourist industry. I was working in a hotel chain that was owned by SAS. And we were working on a turnaround with, of course, not so much resources and not such a big budget. And one of the Greek hotelier contacted me and said, I had a guest here in my hotel, and he had some interesting inputs. If you would like to, I can connect you with him. Yes, please do. And I did. And that person was responsible for the quality development in Ericsson, the telecom company. I was in hotel industry, he was in telecom. So I contacted him and I said, I was a marketing director, and I said, I'm doing this. I'm trying to create a concept for the hotels to make it easier for our colleagues, our employees, to do a good job. And he said, okay, I am building something called quality and standards for the people working in Ericsson, so they can feel that they can take more responsibility to drive the technical development. Let's see if we can learn from each other. And that work that we did together created such a fantastic platform and was one of the most important building blocks for the turnaround. So that was an example. He was a bridge for me, or the hotel was a bridge, and he was then my new connection.
That's great. I have Annie asking, responding actually to your question. She says,
Yeah.
thank you. This was very interesting. Question about timing. Building a network is a long-term investment, and the real connections will last for long. But how to identify areas where to focus and find new connections? What platforms to use?
Yeah, and I am a big fan of LinkedIn. So what I do in the morning, and I am a learning nerd. I read the papers. I have 3 business papers. I read the papers. I see an interesting person talking about the subject where I feel this is something I don't know, or this is something I need to know to be able to deliver my area. Then I used LinkedIn. I always say, please, a friendly question for me. Is it okay if we could connect? Because I'm right now working with this. And often, if you are quite clear of why you would like to have a conversation, I mean, 99% of the times they say, yes, of course, let's start a conversation. And then I move on from there. So I use LinkedIn a lot, and I use business papers to find interesting people.
That's a very good, I think, piece of advice. Linda comments, I'm currently on maternity leave, but even now I try to keep developing my network, thinking about a successful return into my professional life.
Yeah.
And Wanda in the Netherlands asks, how would you suggest encouraging young women to establish networks and connections, to overcome shyness, to realize colleagues of a wide age group are beneficial to follow up and not burn bridges, etc.?
Yeah, I think, that the worst thing that can happen is that someone says no. So if you start there, because if you don't ask, you don't get a no. And I think that we should encourage our young people to be curious, and by that use their curiosity to connect to other people with questions. Because what I've learned, and that's something I learned from Rotterdam, from the mentor program, that the majority of people really would like to share and to support. But if you come with 2 big questions, like, what should I do with my career? Then you get overwhelmed and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have time. But if you go there and said, I'm really, really interested in AI. From my perspective, I'm working with HR. How should I connect AI to HR? Then you have plotted down the question, and that person can help you in another way. So if we teach our young students to make closer questions, they will have an opportunity to build their network in another way. And I think also it's important that you connect to a person, and I'm talking business now, in the first hand of that you respect that person's knowledge. That is something you would like to learn or share questions with, have a good conversation, because I really love questions because that makes me grow. So the capability to raise questions is also really important. I don't know if that was an answer on the question, But that was something we talked a lot about in Rotterdam.
In that sense, I've had two other questions sent in to me that I'll put kind of into one. From your experience at Rotterdam, are there particular skills where women generally need more or different training than the average male? As well, you have said that you believe that every manager, irrespective of gender, should be highly skilled in communication, and that due to societal expectations, women are often seen as good communicators. So do you think that there are other leadership skills characteristic to women that originate from the way that young girls women are raised and educated? For example, Christine Lagarde, whom you mention as an inspiration, she's mine as well, has said that women on boards often provide a people-centered approach. Should we surmise that this comes from raising women as nurturers? So particular skills, communication skills, and nurturing skills.
Mm. I mean, one of the key things we talked about with in the Rotterdam program, where we had 40 women, and I must say I'm so proud, because now they have really, I mean, the women I met, you can see them in really, really heavy, big industry roles today as CEO and so on. But what we talked about was that building network takes time. If you just stay at your desk and do your thing, 150% high quality, you are not building your network.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, when something happens, you will be alone. So you have to decide, I will put X% of my time, working time, to invest in my network. And I think you have to be very active, because I look upon my network as one of my tools to deliver my responsibilities for TUI. I use quite a lot of time to raise questions to my network, to get them to give me feedback on my thoughts, how we should solve problem. I am also putting quite a lot of effort into finding interesting things that I share with my network. And I say, have you seen this? Have you read this? And then we can have a conversation. So you must invest your time in network. And I think this is something we forget all the time, because we are really over delivering many times. And so we are good in communication, yes, but for me, that's not the same as building networks, if it sounds strange, perhaps.
I don't think it's strange at all, actually. I am known to be a very strong networker, and by Jove, we wouldn't be talking to you here if it weren't for the strength of networking,
Exactly.
about asking very key people whom you think may have an answer, a good answer, how to find somebody. And I can only invite everybody. I have contacts, from after 40 years in business or in life, in any case, and I've kept in touch with most of them in some way over time. Not every year even necessarily, but you never know when you're going to meet again.
No, exactly.
Let me ask you a question, a little divergent from this topic, but certainly within the realm of Novatore. Now, the World Tourism Organization, which is a UN agency in the field of tourism, links sustainability with women's empowerment, especially as in many regions of the world, women make up the majority of the tourism workforce and also tend to be concentrated in the lowest paid and lowest status jobs in tourism. Is gender equality or diversity performance taken into consideration by TUI when selecting partners? Is this something customers are interested in at all? Or do environmental issues prevail when one speaks of sustainability?
Thank you. That's a really good question. And we put a lot of effort in trying to work with this as a key topic. I'm working together with the HR organization. Mm-hmm. We are having all these traditional things, when you send people to training courses or when you find new leaders for leaders position. When it comes to the hotel and the cruising ships and in the airline industry, we're also trying to change. I mean, who is the captain? Who is the first person in row on the cruising ship or on the airline? Who are the leader of the hotels? So this is an ongoing conversation, and it's absolutely a part of being a sustainable company. I think we have quite a lot to do, because diversity is so much more than only women and men. Mm-hmm. It's also age, it's also nationalities, it's knowledge, background, and respect for the individuals, because I think we also can do, and that was my learning from working with the hotels, that if you give people knowledge, I mean, they will start to act where they are, and they will drive fantastic change. So I'm really passionate about learning and sharing of learning. For me, that's democracy. And that is something we are going to launch a sustainability academy, which should be an open access academy, which means that wherever you are on earth, you should be able to join and learn, and by that participate in transformation.
That's good. I think education learning is a topic in itself. So a final question, Charlotte. Would you be kind enough to share practical advice for women who wish to be in charge of their professional development or better their chances at professional success?
Yeah, I mean, what we did in one part of the Rotterdam program was that you need to write down your ambitions. Mm-hmm. Where would you like to be in 3 years? Why would you like to be there? What sort of new knowledge do you need? What sort of people do you need to talk to be able to raise questions, but also should raise questions to you? Who are the people who could support you and encourage you to take those steps? But I think it's really important, and I'm back to this curiosity, and that's what have driven my career, and a bit of stubbornness also, if I should be honest. But to be curious and be open and raise your hand. I always raise questions. I have that as one of my agenda points. I create questions before I go to meetings, so I can raise the question. And what I learned from the founder of Rotterdam, Gunilla Rehn, she always told me, I mean, you can raise whatever questions you would like to raise, because you are asking for an answer. I mean, if it's outside the topic, you will fix it so it will be a part of the topic. So curiosity, and you need to take responsibility for your own development agenda. That's
an excellent
yeah.
question. So thank you very much, Charlotte, for joining us. Let me give some final words to all. First of all, thank you for joining us today and watching this recording if you're not joining us today. In another interview, Charlotte summarized what is important for executive leadership. She said, think business, people, and results, be a decision maker and a leader, which really dovetails what she just said about advice for people building careers. And that's, I think, a great takeaway for today. So please join us for our next lipstick lunch on May 11th at 12 o'clock to meet Kaidi Rusalep, the founder and CEO of Funderbeam, the best European fintech startup of 2017. Kaidi was the first IT lawyer in Estonia and co-author of the Estonian Digital Signatures Act of 2000, which is landmark legislation that enables secure digital identities, and in turn created eStonia, the country's booming electronic economy. Now, apart from many other accolades, for the 5th year running, Kaidi is firmly rooted in the top 50 of Europe's most influential women in the startup and venture capital space. Her topic will be passion to make a difference as the foundation of entrepreneurship. Passion and Kaidi Rusalep on Tuesday, May 11th at 12 o'clock. See you then. Goodbye.